Welcome back for another book review. Once again, I am sick, so off camera. But today, this I think is part of a series, but I can't find all of the books through my library. They currently only have 2 from this author, but I think it's a series about kitchen witchery, and I think the series is called Kitchen Witchcraft. But I currently, again, the library only has 2. So we have this one, Spells and Charms, and then I think it was like Fire. So I think there's others in the series. But regardless, today we are talking about this installment from the author, and that is Spells and Charms. So while this seems to be part of a series from the author, it doesn't really fit the thing of kitchen witchcraft. It's just kind of generic witchcraft, which is fine, but like there's nothing that makes it specific to kitchen witchcraft. It's just kind of your usual like beginner steps of like spells and charms and things. Like it's just the usual basics of how to start, some ingredients, and then the like usual rules and necessary discussions and whatever. And that's about it. And this is a really small book. It's like 130 pages, so there is not a whole lot in here. Now, the thing with this book is that the author is really fun. I love the writing voice in here. I think the information presented, while it is a small book, it's very entertaining. And like, again, it's a hard line to walk where it's, is the author too casual or are they too academic? And this definitely fits my happy little spot between the two. It's a little more casual than other books, but it's not too bad. I do like her overall like vibe, her writing voice that she's got. I think she does a really good job presenting a lot of the information. There are just a couple things that I didn't love about this book. So first of all, this book does not title the chapters. And even really just like the overall format of this book is weird. I don't know if it's a thing with this publishing house, but like I hate it. So like the format of this is awful. Like usually when you start a new chapter, like the way it's laid out just feels like it's kind of a rough style. Like there is like a certain art that comes to editing a book, and specifically for like witchy books, because fiction you can kind of get away with like not a lot. It's really just your chapter title page and that's it. And then the rest of the book it's just the printed words. But in a witchy book, it needs a little bit more flair, a little bit more organization. And it's a really hard line to walk, but like, it didn't feel like they tried. Like, aesthetically, it's awkward and feels bulky and just, they needed somebody to go in and just make it a little more pretty. Changing fonts, sizes, making it very evident of like section headings versus like subheadings into whatever. Just little things like that I felt like could have been done better. But regardless, having chapter like numbers would have been great. So usually when I sit down to read a book, that is one of the things I check, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I like numbers, and so I need to know how many chapters there are in this book so I can plan accordingly because, again, I read a lot of books. So, like, I like to glance at the, content page, table of contents, whatever. They call it different things in different books. The chapter pages, tell me how many chapters there are. It's not there. It doesn't tell you how many. They're just listed awkwardly. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. But, like, I could forgive that. And then you move on to the end of the book. And usually when you list a bibliography, it's going to list the books you used, right? That's the point. But no, it goes a little beyond just that. So typically in a bibliography, you're going to, at the very least, list the book title and the author. Sometimes they get a bit more academic. They will put the page numbers they've used. They will put publication information. You can get a little more in depth. Like if you use like the website I remember that I've always used for like since 7th grade was like EasyBib, where it's easy bibliography. And, you know, you key in the information and then it makes like the official like, you know, APA or MLA or whatever format, and people will then put those in their reference pages at the end of a book. And this author did none of that. The bibliography page, I don't know what's going on. So it's just randomly listed and there's no authors. So that to me is a big ol' red flag. Like, what? And like that combined with the awkward of the formatting, like it makes me wonder, like, how involved is this publishing house? Like, where is your editor? Because like they need to get trained, because that's not like industry standard. And if it was self-published, I could kind of give some credit, but I also feel like, especially when you're writing nonfiction, you probably, like, I hold you to a little bit higher of a standard, you know? Like, if you're listing your sources, you should probably include who it's by. And, like, I don't know if they didn't do this because, like, she mentions throughout the book a little bit her other ones that she's written. And, like, I kind of feel like, and I didn't write them down, but I feel like it was, like, the same books that was at the end of, you know, in the bibliography that the author has written, which is, like, whatever if you mention your own books. I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out to use it as a reference, because, like, it came from your brain. They both came from your brain. That doesn't count as a reference, but whatever. But, like, the fact that there's no authors listed, so, like, that is weird. I don't know that I've come across that in any of the other books, but it was just weird to just see this random list of books and there's no authors. There's also no rhyme or reason to them being listed either, by the way. It's not by series, because there's quite a few from the Pagan Portals, which honestly, while the books are interesting, it feels weird to use that as like a main source information because they're all small. Like, I think that's one of the requirements of that publishing house, is that they are going to be small books, like under 200 pages. So that feels kind of weird, but like all of them, it seems like, are from that series or from the author. Like, it's not alphabetized. It is all over the place. So that also is a little alarming. Like, why are none of the, like, normal references brought up here? Because, like, not to bash these books, but, like, usually there's certain books that are kind of mentioned all the time. Certain authors are mentioned frequently, and none of that was here. So that's also, like, if the book wasn't good, it would make sense. Like, I think the author kind of knows what they're doing, but at the same time, if you're going to write a witchcraft book, it just seems like you should have a decent portion for your bibliography. And again, listing authors would be great. I don't know why they didn't do that. Last point I wanted to make, and I don't know if this is just like a pet peeve or if it is annoying to other people, but the use of the ellipses, if you don't know what that is, it's the triple dot when you're writing. When you kind of want to trail off, you have dot dot dot. This was used constantly. Like, I swear almost every page had it. And it was just annoying. It's like once in a while, sure, it's fine. Like, all power to you. But for the most part, especially nonfiction, no. Like, there are other options, like a comma, a period, reword your sentence. Like, it just felt so lazy. And, like, I don't even know if lazy is the right word. Immature, maybe? Like, it just came across as, like, a 17-year-old or younger even writing, where they're, like, writing how you would speak, which sometimes works, but it sometimes doesn't. And I felt like a lot of the times it brought the writing down because it's not how professional writing is done. Again, once in a while is fine. But I mean, this was consistent. Almost every page, it seemed like, had this. Not even every chapter, just almost every page. Anytime she was just talking, there was going to have this little triple dot for no reason. And it would be like mid-paragraph, end of paragraph. It didn't really matter. It was just there all the time. And a lot of the times it's like, why are you putting this in here? This could be a comma. This should be a period. I like the sentence itself will give you that lull that you're like trying to articulate on its own. You don't need to put this in here. And again, it just, to me, it comes across as not professional writing. And like, I do have a small degree in this because like that's what I went to school for. And like, that's just a thing. And like, I've read like over 200 books. Even this year, this is getting close to 150. And like, that's just not a thing that you do. So it's a random pet peeve. I don't know if it's going to bother anyone else, but for me, it just, again, one or two throughout the book is great. One or two per page is not so great. And I realize this sounds very negative for this book, but like, other than these couple of things, it was a really good book. And like, I'm really surprised that I liked it. Honestly, I think I might go buy it at some point. It's not very high on my to buy bought list, but like, it is on there. Like, the information is good. It is a book that I would like hand to people. I might mention the couple of things, but other than that, like, it is a good book. The information is well written. Again, minus the random little ellipses and, whatever. But like, the writing style is so much fun. And like, oh, actually, back to the other point. I forgot about this because I don't have a script. I'm just sitting here with Office Cat on my lap as I'm recording at like 4 a.m. because I can't sleep. But one of the things is that in the book list for the bibliography, it was only when I went to post a picture to Instagram that I noticed this. One of the books listed is a coloring book. So that's like really random. And like, I know that certain books have information outside of, like, I was thinking of the almanacs and stuff that I've read where it's like they have some information and then it gets into just the straight almanac things. Even like the planetary guide one that's like a kind of planner of sorts, like it has information at the beginning. But I was like, why are you listing a coloring book as a bibliography reference? This is so random. Anyways, I did have to mention that before I forgot because that was wild. I just, even if you use it as a reference, I feel like you needed to have like a footnote explanation for that one because like, what? So anyways, that was a side tangent. But overall, like, the information in this book is really good. I feel like it's very well written despite these random things. But like, overall, it's a good book. I do think I would recommend it to people, but just like keep in mind some things that I've mentioned because otherwise, like, it's good stuff. Like, it's written very well. It kind of reminds me of Dorothy Morrison in some ways. Like, it's a similar writing voice. Not quite the same, obviously. And, like, there are some little things that, a UK author is going to write compared to, like, an American author. But honestly, I find those kind of fun because it's like, oh, look at you go. Like, it's fun to see the different cultural things and, like, certain turn of phrase and stuff that we use. But, yeah, like, it's a fun book. I think it was very informative. And, like, because it was so good, that's why it has such a high rating from me. Because, like, the other stuff would make this be a really bad book. But because the writing is so good, it maintained itself enough to be like, despite all of these things, it is still such a good book. So anyways, I would love to know your thoughts on this one in the comments below. Thank you to my patrons, and I will see you all next time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post Monday through Friday. And until next time, thank you for watching. I would love to know your thoughts, and blessed be.